The Locked On Podcast Network presents the NFL Big 3 in 30. The three biggest stories in the NFL from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The NFL Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest story in the NFL.
All right, it's past June 1st, so where's Jalen Ramsey?
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast.
The latest update comes from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, who said about Jalen Ramsey and the Rams that the Los Angeles Rams are, quote, on his radar as a potential option. The LA Rams, Ramsey's old team, is on his radar as a potential option. Nothing moving there as of yet. He should have a new team this fall. So clearly he has some options. Clearly there's some expectation that the Rams are going to be involved. He said the expectation is that Ramsey will be traded in the coming days and weeks. They can save about $10 million on their salary cap if they do so. That is not the issue. He's got $24 million guaranteed. That is the major issue here. Teams have been a little spooked by that. So that's really what it comes down to is, are teams willing to commit to what he's owed for the next season? Because, I mean, you look at the Rams, they have $19.4 million in cap space. And look, I mean, if you look at the cap hit at $5.9 million, that's not going to hurt them. But Ramsey does have that $25 million cap hit next year. And there is, though, an out in his contract after the season. So you could find a way to get a new deal done where both sides can agree upon what makes sense for their future. So that's something that you don't need to do right away. There's a world where you could trade for Ramsey and then you could figure out something down the line. But the truth is the Rams are, I think, in a pretty good spot as far as kind of leverage goes, because, I mean, it's out that the Rams are a destination that he would consider. It's out that we know that this is a cost-saving move for them. If you look at just already the fact that we're in June, you're in a good spot. The Dolphins are taking just a $5.9 million cap hit instead of a $12.6 million cap hit had they traded him earlier. So I think both sides are going to give this some time to try to maximize their return. But I think that they're also in a spot where you want to make something happen sooner than later. Sean McVay said about Ramsey, I feel good about where we're at. Obviously, Jalen's a unique deal, but I think we feel that this is a way in terms of the guys that have played. We've got a lot of guys that have played meaningful ball at the corner position, at the safety. We've got some different guys that can flex between safety and dime, linebacker, the nickel, star spot. I do feel really good about the development of that group. So the Rams, they do a great job in trying to putting themselves in the best position from a leverage standpoint. They're just trying to make it seem, hey, we are not desperate. We are not going to be desperate. We are going to make this move if it makes sense for us, but we're not going to go out there and blink first, right? And they've made it clear, though, that they like him. I mean, they really do. They want him back. It's clear that that's the case, too. Sean McVay said, obviously, we love Jalen. We know Jalen intimately. There would be some things that would need to be able to do if that was going to be a direction that we went. We certainly haven't closed the door on that, but there hasn't been a whole lot of dialogue as of late in regard to some of the communication, and so we'll see if that changes. So, yeah, I mean, they played their cards right. I think that, I mean, the fact that they're now making it say, oh, there's been a lot of dialogue. Oh, we have a secondary that has experience. I mean, they're definitely strategic about this, and that's clear at this point. Now, the only thing is, do you pull the trigger on a deal? Do you try to get it? And I think that if no other team wants him and he has to play for cheap moving forward, I think that that's something that you kind of look at. It's just like, how many teams are you truly competing with for his services? And I think for him, it really comes down to, okay, like, I got a couple more chapters left in my career, and I think that his his window as far as being a impact player on a Super Bowl winning team, a Super Bowl contending team, it aligns with where the Rams are at, with Matthew Stafford, with Devontae Adams, with Sean McVay, with this group of players that is ahead of schedule because they really didn't go through a rebuild. But since they drafted so well, they're in a spot to go out there and compete. And I think Ramsey and the Rams, it is going to be ongoing. And I'm very curious to see if something gets done and when that gets done, because I think that if you are this Rams team, you're kind of in this interesting spot that not a lot of franchises get to. And that is, we're legitimate Super Bowl contenders now, but we have a lot of flexibility moving forward, right? We are not locked into our starting quarterback for more than 2 years. Outside of that, we're not locked into these long-term deals. Yes, you're trying to get a deal done with extension, done with Kyron and then Puka at some point. And yes, you got some of these pillars, but there's a combination of, okay, we need to develop our future and give them valuable experience and allow them to grow, while also saying, yeah, but we're not that many pieces away. We got a couple pieces of the puzzle left, and we can truly go for it. And, yeah, I think that it comes down to one thing and one thing only. Do they believe in the ability and the talent of Jalen Ramsey right now? Is he just a name from the past? Is he someone that is living on his reputation from years ago? Or is there still something in there that says, okay, I'm an upgrade to what they currently have? And how big of an upgrade to what they currently have, right? Is it a major upgrade or is it a minimal upgrade? I mean, these are all fair questions to ask. And I think that you got to trust the organization, because I'm at the point where if they get Jalen Ramsey, I'll be like, all right, nice. I'm not expecting all pro Jalen Ramsey, but he's an upgrade to what they currently have. I mean, they were bottom third in most categories involving the secondary last season. But if they don't get him, I would probably say, well, the Rams they know him as well as anyone. They know how to evaluate as well as anyone. And they didn't think that they had to get him to make this team a championship contender. And you kind of have to trust their process. And I think that's certainly where I would be. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but I mean, it's just, you're not completely privy to where he's at behind the scenes, where he's at physically at this point of his career. I mean, it always feels great to kind of bring the band back together and and have that be the case. And okay, the boys are back in town. There's nostalgia involved. It brings up good feelings. But I always say, I mean, you never want to put the McDonald's French fries in the microwave and expect them to taste like they did when you pulled through the drive-thru and you reached deep into that bag and it was salty and warm. It's probably not going to be, I'm clearly going to McDonald's for lunch, by the way. It's clearly not always the case with that. But, hey, who knows? I mean, maybe there's a way that they think it's going to work out and it's a lot of money for him. And I personally, if my whole thing is, I think they need to trade for a corner or add a corner to this group. If they truly want, if they're all in 100%, maybe they're not all in 100%, but they're all in 100%, which I think that they are close to being, then I think you need to add a cornerback. I think that you need to upgrade the secondary. And if that's not Jalen Ramsey, then it has to be someone else. But Ramsey is one that is a big name that's on the block right now that would be willing to come back here, that knows the system, that's familiar with the system, that knows Sean McVay, that has played under him, that's won a championship with him. So that's why there's these other factors that make it make sense. But if the season rolls around and the Rams haven't upgraded that position, I'm going to be a little disappointed for sure. I think that when you look at their competition around the league, you're looking at a defensive side of the roster that doesn't have a ton invested in it. There's some great young talent for sure that would get paid a lot more on the open market, but not a lot of high-priced defensive players on that defensive side of the football, and I think that's where you could certainly take this team to another level.
The NBA Finals are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action right now. When you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if that first bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting easy. Whether it's picking your favorite team or diving into player props, from three-pointers to steals to assists, there's so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, After the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Place that first $5 bet on the Cowboys, for example, who we'll talk about later. Dallas plus 340 to go under 5.5 wins this season. If you're not bullish on the bounce back from Dak, I like those odds. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today.
Jayden Daniels isn't just QB1. He's already running the offense like it's his team.
You are Locked On Commanders, your daily podcast on the Washington Commanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's just our second OTA practice that we're going to get to watch on Wednesday. But we were on hand last Wednesday for the first OTA practice. That was the first OTA practice for us and for the team. And Jayden Daniels controlling the offense, really mastering Cliff Kingsbury's offense and taking ownership of it was kind of the main takeaway of doing it. Just not just running the offense, but again, starting to own it. And as we look forward to tomorrow's practice, we have to first look back at some of what we saw last week, specifically from Jayden and others. And it kind of sounds weird, right? I've done a couple of radio hits since that practice, but really Jayden looked like Jayden. The last time we saw Jayden Daniels playing football, not in a game, I should say, was practice leading up to the NFC Championship game. The last time we saw him on a practice field before last week. Well, didn't look any different. And there are two ways that they can go as far as looking different, right? One, you can have guys come in that look a little bit, they're feeling themselves a little bit, maybe full of themselves a little bit, maybe not taking it as serious, thinking like, I got this. This is money in the bank and all that stuff. And there are guys who can come in and maybe trying to do too much, trying to elevate too quickly, maybe trying to be a second-year Hall of Fame type of quarterback, things like that. We didn't see any of that from Jayden. We saw the same poised, controlled, confident quarterback that we saw in rookie minicamp and all throughout last season. So I think that's a really good thing. People feel sometimes they need to continuously get better at everything. And then there's an old saying, when everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. I love that saying. I kind of live by that saying. You can only have one priority at a time. Jayden is really that kind of a guy. Today's practice, we're working on this. That's going to be the priority. Tomorrow's practice, we're going to work on something else. That'll be the priority then. Keep the main thing. The main thing, I think, is basically how this generation says it. It all means the same thing. I love it either way, no matter how you want to word it. Knowing the offense, running the offense, commanding the offense. Those are kind of the three different layers of comfortability for a quarterback within an offensive scheme. And last year we saw Jayden. I mean, honestly, rookie minicamp, people were ranting and raving about his knowledge of the system, knowledge of the playbook, knowledge of what Cliff Kingsbury wanted him to be able to do. So he was showing that very, very early on. As we see the season go by, really, I think after that 3-game losing streak, you kind of see it starting with Tennessee into New Orleans and really down the final stretch of the regular season. Jayden Daniels not just coming out there running the offense, but I think you really start to see him start kind of mastering it a little bit towards the end of last season, and then now commanding the offense, not just making an adjustment here or there, not just making a correction here or there, but knowing exactly where everybody's supposed to be, exactly how everything is supposed to go. Then you start to elevate yourself as a weapon within that offense. I think we can start to see that part of the progression even as we go into this, this regular season. I know he's already a weapon in the offense itself, but I'm talking about him finding ways to not just elevate his teammates, but also elevate his own play. Offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury gave us some praise for Jayden Daniels' mental growth and physical development before last week's practice, saying, quote, you can see the comfort level was there this year. I mean, just watching him moving around, he's not thinking as much. He's playing fast, letting his natural gifts kind of take over. And that's what we want to see, end quote. And obviously every coach you ever talk to about football wants to see their players playing fast. They'd much rather you make a mistake and do it fast. That way we can work with you. Because if you're not giving it 100% of effort, you're not playing fast, you're not playing to the full extent of your ability, we make a little tweak, then you go out there and try to play fast, then the entire game has changed. So you've seen Jayden Daniels really start to pick it up. So what are we looking for out of OTA practice number 2, the second practice that we get to go out there and witness? Well, obviously we want to see more of the same things, right? But we're kind of looking now, are the reads coming a little bit quicker? How's his rapport with veteran receiver, new teammate Deebo Samuel coming? How is that red zone sharpness looking a little bit early on in the process? You want to continue to see him throwing with anticipation, something he did really well, even as a rookie, which sometimes starts off well. I remember Sam Howell, not as a rookie, but as a second-year quarterback, first-year starter. In the beginning, threw with some pretty decent anticipation. The more he got beat up, the more the team lost, the more he threw turnovers, interceptions, all those things, that anticipation started to go away. We want to see Jayden Daniels continue to be anticipatory but we want to see that anticipation grow even more when possible. Building rapport with Deebo Samuel, like we said, maybe you hit that 9 route this time, right? Remember last week, we saw Jayden target a deep route, a go route from Deebo Samuel against Jonathan Jones, placed the ball over the cornerback, placed it where only Deebo can make a play. But unfortunately, it was a little bit too far. Even Deebo couldn't make the play. Maybe now we can see that connection kind of start to come to fruition. Also want to see him connect more with Jalen Lane, right? Exciting rookie. I mean, he's a day 3 guy, but as day 3 guys go, pretty exciting type of caliber of a player. So we want to see if maybe we can get that connection going just a little bit, get some more action out of Jalen Lane as a receiver, because we know that he's going to have some special teams opportunities, more on him here in just a little bit. And then again, maximize the red zone, get clean execution in the red zone, get those time scenarios. They do a 2-minute drill, they do an end of game type of scenario. We want to see those types of things as well. Of course, Jayden isn't the only quarterback, right? Quarterback, most important position on the field, most important position in the locker room and in the meeting room. Jayden not by himself. Marcus Mariota, the veteran who's more behind the scenes than he is showing his upfront value, right? But Cliff talked again about having high character guys in the buildings, guys who have done it before that can help units grow. And if that's not Marcus Mariota, I don't know who is. Not only has he been through being a young franchise savior quarterback, number 2 overall pick, Heisman Trophy winner, all the expectation, but he's also been through the lows of the NFL, losing the job, struggling, hitting the lows, losing streaks and all those things. Marcus Mariota doing a lot of work behind the scenes, even though you may not get to see a lot of him in highlights and media teams. You know, the media team may not get a lot of videos of him out there. There is a lot that Jayden does that either comes from, goes past, or goes through Marcus Mariota. So you go back to that Atlanta Falcons game in overtime where you see Marcus kind of pick Jayden up and say, hey, come on, man, like this is go time. There are honestly moments throughout the season, even earlier in that game, where Marcus kind of provides that little bit of a big brother juice to Jayden Daniels. So Marcus Mariota, certainly, he may not see the highlight clips all off season or during the OTAs, but certainly making his presence felt. What comes next for Sam Hartman? I think that's a really good question for the quarterback room. Is he starting to show more that he belongs in the NFL? Another high character guy. In this case, not someone who's done it in the NFL, played big time football, but not in the National Football League. But he gives Jayden kind of an age group peer, right? Peer-to-peer leadership type of guy to lean on, has his back, and is there to support him. Cliff, another quote from Cliff, quote, for the younger players, it's pretty vital to get them in here, get them comfortable so that in training camp, they can compete at a high level, end quote. Well, Sam Hartman's going to take what he learned last year. He's going to take what he's learning now and try to compete with Josh Johnson in training camp. Speaking of Josh Johnson, another veteran who's been around, digested and run a lot of offenses in his day, another mentor who can help Jayden Daniels, but he can also help Sam Hartman. You know what I mean? So he can help Sam Hartman develop as well. So a lot going on with the quarterback position. Obviously, the focus is mainly going to be on Jayden Daniels, who looks like he's in command. Every year, there is a rookie or two who forces the coaching staff, the front office, to reconsider the depth chart a little bit. The Commanders might already have a few of those guys opening up eyes right now here in OTAs. Next segment of Locked On Commanders, we're going to talk about rookies. We're talking about role players. We're going to talk about players who are potentially on the rise as we get through the offseason workout program, getting prepared for training camp. Some young Commanders making noise early on, and the main one making noise early on, rookie cornerback Trey Amos. Had an interception in OTA number 1 off of Jayden Daniels. Strong instincts on the play, ball tracking on the play, body control, hand-eye coordination, all of it, man. The ability to come up with that play, come up with that ball as he's going through. Again, if you haven't heard about it, early on in the 7-on-7s, Michael Gallup targeted by Jayden Daniels, running an in-breaking route. Trey Amos is right there on him, sticky coverage. They get their feet tangled up, no flags, no interference, just happens in the course of action on a football field. Michael Gallup's going down. Trey Amos is losing his balance, yet when everything comes out of the wash, Trey Amos was able to come up with the interception. Very big play. Second interception of the series of that set of 7-on-7 drills for the Washington Commanders defense. The first one, unfortunately, off of Michael Gallup's hands as well, into the waiting hands of safety Jeremy Reeves, who did his thing, doing all that. But you love seeing Trey Amos play fast, right? Again, you're talking about rookies who, you know, he's played big-time football, right? Played at Alabama, played at Ole Miss. He's done those kinds of things, but he's new in this system. He's new to the NFL. He's new to this team. But he's out there playing fast. He's playing as physical as you can, right? You're not allowed to hit. You're not allowed to do all those things. But within the confines of what they're allowed to do, he's playing physically. And the greatest thing about it is you have to look for him, right? sometimes rookies, especially in OTAs early on in these processes, you don't have to look for them because they show up, they stand out. You're like, yep, there's the rookie right there. And it's just part of the process, right? It's not a negative on a guy you're a rookie. You're supposed to act like a rookie sometimes. But a guy like Trey Amos makes it a little bit harder to spot him because he looks like he's done it before. He looks like he's been on the field. And he just looks comfortable, man. He just looks the part, right? Could he challenge for snaps early? That's a question I've gotten from some people in the media, also some fans that I've seen, in my day-to-day. And yeah, I think he could push for snaps early. In fact, I think he will push for snaps early. I don't know. I think it's too early to sit here and say he's going to be the starter opposite of Marshawn Lattimore, who was expected to be the first outside starter, and then Mikey Sanders still inside. I think that would be disrespectful to Jonathan Jones to say that Trey Amos is just going to come in here and just boom from day one, be, an automatic starting corner. But I certainly think a rotation is in the works. I think that is obviously something. And look, I'll tell you right now, like we're going to probably have this conversation a little bit deeper into training camp in the preseason if it really comes up. But, look, Marshawn Lattimore, again, there's no sacred goats, sacred cows, I think is actually the words to say. No sacred cows on this roster, right? We've heard Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, Lance Newmark all say it over and over again. No sacred cows. So, a guy like Trey Amos, if Trey Amos and Jonathan Jones show this staff that they're the best two outside cornerbacks for this team, then I'm confident that if that's the case, that those two guys will be the ones to start. Marshawn Lattimore, if he doesn't show that he's the best guy for the job, he won't be out there. You know what I mean? Now, how that transpires and everything else and what comes of that and everything, that's a whole other story for a whole other day that we're not going to cross right now because we're not at that bridge yet. But is that reality possibly there? I think certainly, you know what I mean? And Trey Amos is certainly doing his part to make that conversation a conversation that needs to be had. Rookie receiver Jalen Lane working inside and out. Cliff Kingsbury talked about that, using his versatility, throwing a lot of stuff at him. They say he's taken really well to it. Looked pretty good, looked pretty comfortable running his routes, doing his individual drills. You love to see him hand catching. That's a big thing, right? Hand catching, not body catching. And the versatility just kind of stands out when you watch him. His special teams role is still going to be his best shot to get on the field consistently. I mean, you got Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Noah Brown. Those three guys are ahead of you, really regardless. Luke McCaffrey's looking to take a step forward. Obviously, Jalen is looking to compete in there. Michael Gallup is looking to bring some veteran skill to the field as well. So, special teams for Jalen, probably the most, direct route to his seeing the field, but do not sleep on his potential to affect the offense as a straight up wide receiver. So two rookies that are really standing out. Josh Connerly Jr., it's not that he's not doing well. It's just, it's hard when there's no pass rush, there's no pads, there's no real blocking going on for an offensive lineman to truly stand out. I am going to look a little bit on Wednesday, our second day out there at OTAs, going to watch a little bit more of the footwork, a little bit more of the diagramming, a little bit more of the, we talk about it being kind of a choreographed operation there on the offensive line.
Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year.
Cam Ward bounced back from a rough start at Tuesday's practice.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast.
We're not going to sugarcoat it here. Cam Ward had a rough start, according to any report that you could find. I saw Jim Wyatt say that he had a slow start. Teron Davenport said that he had a rough start. No matter how you want to slice it, it was a tough beginning to practice for Cam Ward. Comes out 7-on-7, miscommunication with Bryce Oliver. Misses on a throw over the middle to Colton Dow. Heard it was a little late, little behind. A bad throw to Mason Kinsey that got knocked away. Missed Calvin Ridley on a deep ball at one point in time during practice. I think Jim Wyatt had Cam Ward at 1 for 4 in his first 7-on-7 opportunity in session. But again, Cam Ward did bounce back in this practice. He hit 6 straight at one point. It was a mixed bag. to say the least. And my point here is, and I can already see the overreactions to this performance or whatever, but I want to add context here, and I feel like that's what I try to do on the show, is just add context to what you're hearing, what you're seeing, these reports coming out of OTAs. And the reality is that Brian Callahan talked about this practice was their first big test because it was a third down practice. They were going to focus on third down situations, 7-on-7, 11-on-11 team periods. It's all going to be about third downs. And what is difficult? Brian Callahan talked about it before practice. Like, third down is the most difficult in the NFL because they know you're throwing. You know that you're throwing. He literally said that verbatim. So this was a test. Titans quarterback coach Bo Hardegree talked about, changing all the protections, everything that was going to go down today would make it a big test for Cam Ward. So the way I see it is, you could take it negatively from an OTA on June the 3rd and say, oh, this is proof Cam Ward's not going to be good. I would say you're confirming your bias if you already didn't think that Cam Ward would be good. But to me, these are the exact kind of things that need to happen for a rookie quarterback to be ready for week one. It's hilarious that we all have these conversations like, oh, he's got to find communication with his wide receivers and he's got to build chemistry with these guys. And we got to have conversations about, oh, you're going to be at this depth and, oh, it's on this timing. And Cam Ward has to see NFL defenses that he's never seen before. And there's going to be an adjustment period for a rookie quarterback coming out of college into the NFL. And then when it's happening in real time, people freak out and don't give the opportunity for the rookie quarterback to grow. Like, what are we doing here? So a rough start, but again, I do want to focus here on the bounce back. 6 straight completions after a rough start. According to Jim White, he was 3 for 4 in the first team period, which 11-on-11 is more important than 7-on-7. Right? Now, 2 for 6 in the second, 5 for 10 on the day in team period, 7 for 11 in 7-on-7. But with those 6 straight completions, a long strike rolling out to Jaquan Jackson over the middle of the field, a deep ball that he dropped right to James Prochet that James Prochet then dropped himself and did some push-ups afterwards, hit Colton Dowell on a seam route in a tight window, hit Calvin Ridley with a sidearm over the middle. I saw Parker Kelly, another beat reporter, say that the chemistry with Calvin Ridley is just obvious. You love to hear that. And then hit Xavier Restrepo quite a bit, hit him on a play over the middle against Jarvis Brownlee Jr. That's a starter. So you're talking about an undrafted free agent rookie who's catching the ball over the middle on one of the Titans starters. We know that X is going to have an impact, and I can't wait to talk more about Xavier Restrepo in a minute. Again, third down. It was third down. Reports of Cam Ward working over the middle. We get a short completion to Xavier Restrepo on a quick sit-down route. That's exactly what you want to hear. So Cam Ward comes out early. This is his toughest test so far as a rookie quarterback. It's third down work only. You know that you're passing. You're seeing different looks and coverages. You're trying to get the timing down in a new offense. And you come out and, hey, there's an adjustment period. We've seen that plenty of time with great athletes. Sometimes it just takes a minute to adjust. Then he comes out and he gets hot in the middle of practice, starts completing passes, a bunch of different people. And another thing that I thought stood out to me from the reports out of practice is that Cam Ward apparently is getting the most reps by a, quote, country mile, according to JT Runke. So to me, I know that there will be some who jump off the ledge right away and freak out, but you have to have days like this, along with the days like last week's practice, where Cam Ward was just cooking and everything was going. We're getting the sidearm pass and everything's going. You're going to have days where there are struggles. And quite frankly, not to, get too existential here, but that's life. You can't be afraid to fail. Think about a good chef and developing a great meal. I know that, my chicken Alfredo dish, simple as ever, but messed up a lot. Excellent. But you know how many times I made it terrible? I burnt the chicken, the sauce broke. There are so many examples of life of where you have to fail to grow and to learn and get better. So I think people that take an OTA and say, oh, look, he had a rough start. He went 1 for 4 to start 7-on-7s. That means Cam Ward's a bust. These are just insane things to think and see. And, we live in an insane world, so you're going to see them. They're going to be places. The aggregation accounts are going to say, Cam Ward struggled in Titans practice today, quote unquote, rough start, blah, blah, blah. And it may be true, but just how it's framed we have to have a bit of patience here and a bit of logic as to what's going on. Not only is this not a terrible thing, I think this is a great thing for Cam Ward, because these are the adjustment periods that when he's drafted and we're all excited and we tell ourselves oh, he's got to adjust, there's this and that. These are the things happening in real time. So even with the rough start to a tough test, you bounce back, you get back on track, you're establishing that connection with Calvin Ridley, your star receiver. You continue to show a connection with your chemistry guy from college and Xavier Restrepo. You're hitting other guys like Colton Dow. You're getting the most reps. The Titans are doing it exactly how they should. They have to test him incrementally. They have to continue to do this. And I would compare it also, there's a lot of you out there who lift weights and who, work out. You break down your muscle so that you can build it back up. So again, you can overreact to this if you want, but not only is it not a bad thing in my opinion, it's a good thing, because Cam Ward needs these reps to be able to get ready for week 1. If he's having terrible days in joint practices and the preseason looks rough, we can have conversations. But for me right now, this is an excellent thing for Cam Ward.